进香门，出山门，出华门。
心上。
录不了，录不了。
Tonight, I saw the premiere of Nanjing Xiangguan.
And try to keep history alive is so important, and that's always been a virtue of mine with items that have to do with bad parts of history. They need to be in museums, they need to be protected.
I urge all of you to see it. It is a 10 out of 10 movie that I never want to see again because it was too hard to watch. I haven't cried in a movie in a long time, and I just wanted to share this with you, and I really want people in the West to see this movie.
Here is China, Harbin. Here happened one of the most disgusting war crimes, real-life experiments. Here is Unit 731.
You probably heard about Nazi doctors tried at Nuremberg. But what if I told you Japan ran a secret human experimentation lab, and instead of being punished, the doctors were protected by the United States? This was Unit 731, a top secret facility built by Japanese militaries in occupied China. What happened there was horrific. Southern civilians, mostly Chinese, but also Koreans, Soviets, and others, were used in experiments without consent. Historian reports things like medical procedures performed without anesthesia, exposure to extreme cold, disease, and chemical agents, testing the limits of human survival in low pressure and toxic environments, even weaponizing illness and releasing it into civilian areas. It was called science, but it was cruelty disguised in lab coats. So what happened after the war? Justice, trials? No, that time. The United States made a secret deal with the scientists behind Unit 731. In exchange for their research data, they were granted full immunity. None were persecuted. The man in charge, Shiro Ishii, lived out his life in peace. Some of his colleagues went on to become professors, doctors, even public officials. Meanwhile, the data from those human experiments, it ended up in Fort Detrick, Maryland, headquarters of American Cold War Biological Research Program. According to the classified documents and the scholars, the data helped shape military medicines and biological defense strategy during the Cold War. For the victims, they were erased from the textbook, ignored by post-war Japan. And to this day, no official apology has ever been issued by a Japanese Prime Minister for Unit 731. Let me ask you this. If Auschwitz had been built in China, if the victims were Asian, not European, if the doctors were politically useful during the Cold War, would justice still have been served? Because here's the uncomfortable truth. International law and human rights have never been truly universal. They are shaped by geopolitics, by who holds power and who doesn't. But the silence does not last forever. On July 31st, end of this month, a new film called 731 is being released globally. It exposes the truth of what happened. What was buried for decades is finally coming to light. Listen guys, some wordings and photos I can't say it in here on TikTok. I have a full article with photos and Substack, link in bio. I really appreciate you guys for all your support. Thank you very much. Take care.
Have you wondered how people knew 70% of our human body consists of water? During World War II, in order to measure the amount of water in the human body, Japanese researchers put Chinese civilians into a high heat chamber and kept blowing hot wind at them. As soon as they sweat, the sweat gets evaporated until they become a human jerky. In the West, students are taught that World War II began when Germany invaded Poland in 1939, which is pretty Eurocentric. However, in China, we believe that World War II began in 1931, September 18th, which is 90 years from today. I'm making this TikTok because nowadays, whenever there's a TikTok about Japan, people be like, oh, Japan is so pure and cute. And this kind of romanticization makes me feel like that people don't know enough this part of World War II that happened in East Asia.
Can you imagine this? A pregnant woman, dissected alive, killed, just so they could study how her unborn baby reacts to infection. Sounds worse like horror movie, right? But this is real. And almost no one outside of China knows about it. While the world remembers Nazi concentration camps, Japan's Unit 731 makes them look tame in comparison. In 1936, Japan's emperor authorized a secret military group, Unit 731, officially for water supply and disease prevention. In reality, a bioweapon lab. Here's what they did. Live human dissections, no anesthesia, organ removed while victims were still conscious. Hearts cut open just to observe real-time data. Most victims were Chinese civilians and POWs. Some were Korean and Russian. Their crime included infecting Chinese with plague, cholera, anthrax, TB, freezing limbs till they turned black and rotted off, testing grenades, flamethrowers, and guns directly on live humans, forcing rape, then studying STDs like syphilis and gonorrhea. But here's what makes even worse. After the war, they didn't get prosecuted. According to declassified records from the US National Archives, American military intelligence was deeply interested in the Unit 731's research, especially the data from live human experiences. So instead of sending these war criminals to trial, the US made a secret deal, full immunity, in exchange for the data. Their leader, Shiro Ishii, never faced justice. He wasn't punished. He lived freely. Some even became professors or government advisors in Japan. Justice was never served. But history will not be forgotten, not if we keep talking about it. I chose not to show real images of these crimes. They are too graphic, too horrifying, but they exist. Look them up if you think you can handle it. Thanks for watching.
90 years seems like a long time ago, but it's still affecting people's lives. I used to ask my granddad if he was afraid of death. He said no, because so that he could see what his father looked like. And then I learned that his father got killed during a Japanese airstrike before he was even born. So he grew up with a single mother, and thus my father grew up without a grandfather. Today, Japan still hasn't apologized to the Nanjing massacre and the comfort woman they conscripted from Korea and China.
And why the Japanese had to be very cruel. I've been living in Nanjing for more than 10 years, and I know about this sad history. And I wish to let more people know about this history. So unfair. This history, the whole world should know. A photography studio in Nanjing, and its English name is Death to Right. It's about a family who uses photographs to show the truth, to record the truth of what happened, and they sacrifice themselves. There are a lot of cruel scenes in the movie. I don't understand why the Japanese had to be very cruel in this war. And there are a lot of crimes that are recorded in the movie and in a lot of various museums in Nanjing. Everyone needs to know about this truth. And I want to contribute and make an effort to show the truth to the world. I recommend all the foreigners in China and abroad to all go watch this movie. You must know the truth.
I just watched Dead to Rights, the film about the Nanjing massacre, and honestly, it hits me hard. I saw their fear, their courage, their impossible choices. It made my heart break. It made me angry. But mostly, it made me understand why remember this matters so deeply. This film is not about blame today. It's about seeing their pain, honoring them. We won't forget what you went through.
This is a history more horrifying than a horror movie.
Have you ever seen those tears on pale faces?
大家好，我是 Michael Larson，你们的朋友。Recently, I saw my wife wiping tears from her eyes while clutching her phone. I had done nothing wrong until she asked me if I knew about the brutal atrocities committed by Japan's Unit 731 in China. Of course, I knew about Japan's atrocities during World War II. My father was a pilot there, too. Otherwise, why would we drop the atomic bomb on Hiroshima for no apparent reason? We simply watched links to the film's Unit 731 and Nanjing photo studio. Together, she broke down in tears. I'd only seen the clips of Unit 731's atrocities. Compared to the Japanese, the crimes committed by the Germans pale in comparison. I finally understand why Chinese people find it so difficult to empathize with the cross. During that 14-year period, so many ordinary people suffered cruelty far worse than the crucifixion. Meanwhile, Japan claims to be one of the most peaceful and innocent nations on earth, constantly claiming they did nothing and that the atomic bomb was dropped on them for no reason. I can't recall ever meeting a Japanese person who even remotely understood the war crimes they committed during World War II. I never imagined it could be so bad. I'm very grateful to my wife for bringing me back to this history. It made me understand more deeply why the Chinese love their country so much, living a low-key life and dedicating themselves to their work. Everything they have today is truly hard-earned. I'm shocked that not many people in my own country know this either. It definitely needs to be discussed more. This kind of history needs to be understood. So from an American cultural perspective, I previously advised my wife to let go of this pain and forget it, to live happily. Now, I truly understand why she burst into tears after watching the video. Forgetting history is a betrayal of the thousands of souls brutally murdered. Just as we Americans still can't get over 9/11 or Pearl Harbor, I hope that one day the Japanese will truly face up to the horrific war crimes they committed against millions of Chinese, Koreans, Filipinos, Malaysians, Indonesians, and others, at least with the public apology. Even though the Japanese may believe that most of those involved with those crimes are long dead, today's Japan bears little resemblance to the Japan of the 1930s. But as seen in the video, the members of the Unit 731 lived long after the war, unharmed by Japan's defeat. Even though the victims and perpetrators are dead, do the Chinese really want Japan to pay the price today? I think not. Simply facing and acknowledging the consequences is a sign of inner strength. If you dare to do it, you must also take responsibility. Let every innocent soul rest in peace. Only then can pain and suffering truly let go and be ended, and only then can letting go and forgiveness truly occur. I hope Americans watch this movie soon and truly understand the history. Please share your comments and questions below. See you on the next video.
我们要感谢前辈，我们有这么和平的生活。
Tomorrow is very powerful and emotional. I've already, felt these emotions before. Like I've cried reading the books about it. It was historically accurate, which is why it's so soul-crushingly sad. I hope the Westerners can see this. And I think it's a very well done, powerful movie. And I think it's going to win some international awards. Gut-wrenching, powerful, necessary, and well done.
香港青年入場看南京照相館。
我今日入場睇呢套《南京照相館》，係希望可以為一啲曾經為正義而戰嘅同胞去致敬。另外，亦都希望更多年輕人入場去觀看，去正確認識歷史。暫們一起努力，去為祖國、去為民族復興一起努力。
Later。
我諗睇完呢套戲咧，大家咧都係個心咧好難受。咁啊，我即係講幾句啦。作為家長咧，好應該咧帶自己仔女入嚟睇。銘記歷史，唔背自強。
南京照相館全球熱播。
錄不了。這幾天光是看731部隊南京照相館的預告片，即使遠在美國的我，都很難控制情緒。這些電影讓我想起了姥姥姥爺滿腿的彈夾片，爺爺奶奶給我看的那個年代的家書。所以當有美國朋友問我，你們中國人為什麼總帶着一種悲傷的底色？我告訴他們，那不是悲傷啊，那是咱們祖祖輩輩把命刻進骨子裡的記憶。他們就是發生在我們的爺爺奶奶、爸爸媽媽、鄰居和最好的朋友身上的事情。 是一个个被蹂躏炸塌的普通男人和女人，是被肆意虐杀的婴儿，以及无数个用自己胸口去堵枪眼、铺炸弹的普通人家的儿女们，以及是被长达14年的莫名践踏和掠夺的家园。他们问，都几十年过去了，为什么你们还不放下？放下？我们或许没有资格为先烈们选择放下吧。日本一无道歉，二无赔偿，三无行动上的弥补，说明他们并不觉得自己的种种恶行是一个错误，并且会对一个国家造成代际的伤害。雪崩之下没有一片雪花是无辜的。为啥你们美国普通家庭对于闯入者是可以合法击杀？因为你们也知道家庭是一个国家的根基，皮之不存，毛将焉附啊。南京城墙的每一块砖都在等一句道歉。我们不记仇，没有展开报复，但请全世界不要强求我们忘记，和对敌人也要慷慨。有些罪不是因为时间过去了，时间久了它就不存在了，就抹平了。也有人问，中国人为什么没有信仰？为何没有因为基督受难拯救众生而跟随？你去东北雪地里找找杨靖与张晶的胃，去重庆的防空洞摸摸墙上的指甲痕。我们不是没有信仰，千千万万没有名字的普通人早把自己钉成了中国的十字架。太多了，我们有太多堪比耶稣受难的英雄了。他们都是普通人家的孩子，他们用生命换来的不仅仅是我们今天的土地，更是我们可以用中文叫爸爸妈妈、写方块字的权利，现在可以好好过中秋节的资格。正因为知道来之不易，中国人对今天拥有的一切才倍感珍惜和自豪。我希望这些优秀的中国电影可以尽快的在海外上映。作为中国人，无论走多远，我都感到十分的骄傲。看到电影里的日本兵发抖了吗？那是我们爷爷奶奶饿着肚子用土枪打出来的恐惧。如果你也在海外掉过眼泪，摸摸心口，那里跳动着南京城30万人的心跳，燃烧着长沙大火里的家书。把这个火传递下去，让我们每一个在海外的华人都是向世界发声的管道。中国人心里的疤是长出来的龙鳞，凡打不死我们的，必使我们强大。
小红书，
这照片不能再洗了，洗了就是痕迹。